Hello and welcome to the Asshole Book Club. I noticed that there was a pretty big gap between the views on my Reddit videos and the views on my D&D videos, so I decided to attempt to bridge that gap by looking at a RPG Reddit. Should be pretty easy. I don't know, I'm on RPG Horror Stories, and people can just be demented at a game table, apparently. So, keep that in mind as we go. Another thing to say before I start reading, there's a lot of channels that look at RPG horror stories as their main thing. So if you've heard one of the stories I'm about to read before, I'm not trying to copy any channel. I'm just looking at what looks interesting to me and is fairly new. So, Alright. Let's see. New player decides that he wants to be a fantasy racist. That could be interesting. So, as always for my Reddit videos, I'm going to do 2 stories, depending on the length. Or 1 story, because I forgot that RPG Horror Stories is only frequented by writers, people who love to write a shitload. Alright. New player decides he wants to be a fantasy racist. Bigotry warning, as if racist in the title didn't clue you into that. So this happened quite recently and isn't half as bad as some of the other things I read on here, but was still rather annoying. Apologies if it's long, I have no ability to self-edit. Well, it's always a skill you can learn. I run an RPG meetup group and met a nice bunch of people there who wanted to try D&D, and despite it being one of my least favorite games, I've played it for around 20 years and know it pretty well, so I knew I could give them a really good introduction to it, and they all seemed pretty fun, and I wanted to hang out with them more. In fact, I had just started dating one of them, so I may have been trying to impress her a little. Okie dokie. I have a few questions, but I'll save them till the end of the story. I decided to run the Stranger Things starter kit adventure because a few Christmases ago, due to a misunderstanding with an Amazon wishlist, my family being idiots, I got 3 copies of the thing and have never found a chance to run it. Ahead of the game, I told the players, 5 of them, that they shouldn't go for any wild monstrous races and should make heroes who want to do good in the realm, so that we didn't have to deal with someone being an evil or horrible character who just wouldn't be on the adventure or working with the party. Everyone made their characters with a lot of help from me, and we met up to play. Just gonna say you already sound a bit insufferable, but let's continue. For the intro, I gave some safety tools, and we discussed any lines and veils as I usually do. I always mentioned that I don't want any homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, or any of that rubbish in my games. I said that whilst many D&D games might have racism built into it because of the different races, it wasn't a theme we were going to be exploring in this 2-shot adventure, which I am using to teach them the rules. And that it would be a great help if you could just assume that your characters were going to get on. In fact, there is no reason to bring up race at all apart from their specific abilities. Enter John. He said that he had played D&D once a while ago and couldn't remember the rules much, but was excited to play. He made a half-orc sorcerer who was a tribal shaman who had come to spread the wisdom of his people. All good by me. He sent over his character sheet, which wasn't made correctly, so I sent him some feedback and advice to help him out. And then he would change things, completely ignoring what I had just said. This meant it took a little while to make his character, but I didn't get annoyed. Some people just don't absorb written information very well. and can be a little complicated when you're making a spellcaster. After I had introduced the characters and the adventure, go hunt down the Thessal Hydra. He had attacked farms and a town and then goes off back into the woods, but the tracks mysteriously disappear. I ask the characters what they want to do. It starts weird with John instantly taking over the group, loudly yelling that we need to look around to find the swamp. Everybody is confused as I had never mentioned a swamp. He is so confident about it, though, that suddenly everyone else thinks that maybe they weren't listening and had missed something. He was so confident that I flipped back through the book and checked the mission in case I did mention the swamp and just didn't notice. I didn't. After correcting him, they get back to discussing the plan. Then he ramps it up a bit more. As the characters start trying to interact, he turns to the only other guy in the group, an elven rogue who had been introduced as a folk hero, vigilante-style character, who is much loved by the common folk in the land. And says something along the lines of, "Well, you're a knife-eared prick, aren't you?" He continues to badger the rogue, accusing him of being a thief and a sneaky little elf, as well as some other racist stuff about elves. I was taken aback and asked why he was being so hostile, and his defense was, "Well, I am an orc, so I hate all other races." I clarified that racism was not a big thing in this game, and wasn't a thing for orcs in this land. And also that he wasn't an orc, he was a half-orc. And also, you wouldn't have any idea that this character is a rogue, so you're just accusing someone of being a thief for no reason. That didn't stop him until the guy playing the elf said in character, "If you continue to say such racist things to me, I will literally kill you." And then he left him alone. Throughout the rest of the game, he continued to talk over everyone. The girl I was dating didn't get to say anything at all because whenever she would try and offer some advice, he would ignore her and shout over the top of her. When they got to a cave, he made half of the party go in ahead of him to check if it was safe whilst he waited outside. They went in and checked if the first room was empty, and then one of them said, "Should we go back and get him?" And all of them thought for a second before, maybe let's just check the next room just in case. I got the impression that their characters, and possibly them, were just happy to have a break from the guy. He didn't pick up on this, however, as whilst they were doing all this, he was very loudly having a conversation with another member of the party about stuff unrelated to the game. This became a reoccurring thing, him talking nonstop when he wasn't the center of attention, us trying to continue and be heard over him, and then all of us having to explain what had just happened again when it got back to him, and then having to explain a third time because he didn't listen to the explanation. At the end of the session, I asked how everyone thought it had gone, and people remarked about how forceful his character was, and his excuse was that no one else was saying anything, so I thought I should take the lead. I mean, he didn't wait for anyone to say anything before speaking, and when people tried to speak, he would just shout over the top of them. He also complained that he never got the chance to do anything in the game, even though he made the decision not to go into the dungeon because he was a squishy sorcerer who would die immediately. After the first session, I checked in with everyone else privately. Their feedback was that they enjoyed it, but struggled to concentrate with him constantly talking over them. And that they felt uncomfortable with the casual fantasy racism that he threw around. I readied myself to have a "don't be a racist, don't talk over other people" chat at the start of the second session. A chat I thought I would never need to have, but luckily he was ill and didn't come. Well, first of all, your job as the DM is to facilitate the adventure and kind of rein everyone in. So if he was constantly talking over everyone in the party, that's because you didn't take responsibility to tell him to knock it off. Like, it's your job to keep everyone in line as well as keeping the adventure going. So, if you don't tell someone to stop what they're doing, they're not going to stop. Second of all, calling your family idiots for buying you something is just you being a ungrateful prick. Sorry. And if D&D is your least favorite game, why did you play it for 20 years? Kind of sounds like you're just a raging douche who doesn't know how to manage a table. Anyway, I'm gonna check a few of the comments, and I might do a second story. Let's see. Let me check what this person calls themselves. The Overlord 1, of course. Let's see. Top comment, which was immediately responded to by the Overlord. Top comment says, remember, you have the power and responsibility to remove a problem player from your game, even mid-game should the need arise. As a GM, practice shutting down the person who talks over people and controls the table. Tell them to hold on a moment and specifically call on the quiet ones. If they bowl over people when you do that, tell them to wait their turn. Pretty good advice. Short, concise. And the Overlord 1 responded with, I have GM'd for a long time with like 8 O's. And I am normally very good at asking people to be quiet and controlling the action. This guy was on another level and just threw me off from the beginning. Honestly, I haven't ever had to kick someone out of a game before, and I'm not very confrontational, which is probably a bad thing when stuff like this crops up. And we had been hanging out as a new friendship group for a fair few weeks beforehand, so I didn't want to cause a huge scene by kicking him out of the group, especially when I wasn't sure if other people were annoyed or not. When someone does something that is offensive or annoying, it takes me a while to work out that I am annoyed or should be upset. My now girlfriend said to me before this game, we had all been hanging out at the pub a week before. You don't like John, but... Oh, they put that in quotes. His girlfriend didn't say that. His girlfriend said, you don't like John, do you? And I was like, I think I do. Why do you say that? And it wasn't until after this game that I realized that I actually don't like him, and worked out why. And then he goes through to respond to every comment he's ever got, so I'm less interested. I mean, yeah, John is a sucky player, but you also kind of suck as a person from what I can tell, so, you just didn't click. As far as fantasy racism goes, sometimes it is necessary for the thing, you know? Like, D&D has a wide variety of races, from people that can fly to people that can breathe underwater, so there's going to be a difference in races. And if you completely ban the difference of races, then what's the point in having different races, you know? Obviously, you shouldn't have, like, people hating another race to the point of wanting to just kill their character outright, but it could be a good point of growth, you know? Alright, I'll try to do one more. This one was 2 days ago. Surprise pregnancy by DM without asking. I feel like I have seen another person respond to this, but... or, you know, react to this. But it's pretty short. So I'm a beginner player, female, and this happened in one campaign I recently joined to start getting into D&D. Summarizing, Thank you for summarizing, by the way. Some people love to type and type and type. The DM first told me my character was going to have a dream and asked if I could follow the flirt. Okay. With the NPC who was going to appear there because it was a thing for the plot. I said, sure, no problem. Later in the session, it was not just a flirt. He basically narrated how the NPC took my character to bed and started undressing her and then fade to black with obvious implications. Oh, okay. I don't know what to say there. I'm going to keep reading. At this point, I was uncomfortable. But I said nothing. My bad there. And just joked in character about it when she woke up with real marks on her neck, also narrated by the DM. It was also kind of implied my character was charmed or under some weird effect because he said I was suddenly very attracted to the stranger. And while there was no logic reason for my character to fuck with a random dude who appeared in her dream. The next session ends with another NPC whispering to my character, but you are not alone, which kind of made me suspect, but I was stupid and just thought, nah, no way, who would do that? Well, he would. Now this last session ended with the big bad, the main villain, taking my character's hand and moving it to her belly so she could feel a heartbeat she knew wasn't hers. It's literally the suspenseful moment he ended the session with. Yuck. I know I should have spoken up as soon as I suspected it, and it's kind of my fault for that. Didn't stop him in time, but holy shit, he never asked me about this. I would not accept this, as I am really uncomfortable with pregnancy topics involving me or any of my characters. Am I being too dramatic or exaggerating if I want to just leave and block the guy? I feel kind of sad because the other players are nice and fun to play with, and I really hate conflict and feel like I'm the bad one for abandoning the campaign, but I'm really uncomfortable with this DM right now. PD, I don't know what that stands for, but it's a Curse of Strahd campaign. The Dream Dude was Strahd in disguise, and, well, he wants an heir, so you're pregnant now. So we made this a main plot thing. PD2, I'm asexual, so it's extra awkward. So, no, none of this is your fault for being uncomfortable, because that's gross. Like, you should block the guy, you should stop playing in his campaign, and keep in touch with all the other people. And that's about it. You know, the obvious lesson here is don't force pregnancies on other people. Also, that's just, even in a fantasy world, that's unrealistic that there would be a heartbeat there after like 2 days, but, you know, that's a moot point. Let's see, the poster is this person. I won't say their names, but you can easily find the post. Top comment says, oh no, I'm sorry. You've been caught in a DM's fetish campaign, it seems. If you're not even comfortable talking to the DM about it, it's probably just best to get out of there. Agreed. Just leave. They responded with, just my luck, I guess. I just left not talking to the dude for sure. And then other people just go on to comfort them. Yeah. You're gonna run into people who think being the DM means they can be a pervy creep to all of their players. And it sounds like he just tried to pick female players to come to his game so he could force his creepy fantasies on them. It happens, and the best option is to just get out of there, because, you know, you really can't reason with a creep. If you liked me reading stories from this new Reddit, please like and subscribe, and I'm going to film like 2 other videos of this, and I'll be uploading them in the next few days. So thank you so much for watching. Please comment if you have anything to share, your own story, your opinions, your thoughts. Go ahead. And yeah, have a good day, everyone, and I will see you later. Hey,